playoff basketball. Game 1 today delivered. Game 2 just as good. The Timberwolves holding on for the Game 4 win. They're now up 3-1 in this series with a final score 116-113. Welcome into Playoff Central Live. Ashley Shamedy back with Wesley Matthews. We've got Devin Harris as well. You guys, these games today have been absolutely electric. This Lakers-Timberwolves game, 10 lead changes, 7 times tied. An overturned call there in the final seconds, and the Timberwolves able to hang on the ball game. 116-113. We had Ant-Man play the entire second half, 43 points for him. You had Luka and LeBron doing absolute work. Let's go ahead and hear from Anthony Edwards after the big win.
Tell me what
Anthony Edwards puts up 43 points in 44 minutes, played the entire second half, makes clutch shot after clutch shot, but he gives a shout out to his teammates, Dante, Naz Reid, you got Jaden McDaniels, because they did absolutely make those plays down the stretch. Who impressed you most? I mean, obviously Anthony Edwards with 40-plus points, but when you look at those role players and how they secured this win.
Naz Reid. Naz Reid. I've been talking about Naz Reid the whole day. I mean, you see it. He hasn't missed a shot in the fourth quarter, which is insane. Didn't even know that was really a thing. He plays with energy. He plays with confidence. You know, I love his story, how he came into this league undrafted, and I thought was crazy about that too. But he just shows up. He does his job. He does his role. You see his versatility on the defensive end, what he adds to the offensive end. I mean, he's a big-time player.
I think Naz Reid as well, but you can't McDaniels. Obviously, the 37 that he had, in the previous game. Obviously, he's guarding Luka the entire game. Never really gets tired, but still has the energy to find ways to make big plays offensively as well. And, Ant had a lot of help today, did a lot of work, but the help that he's getting right now is definitely, a big part of what Minnesota's doing. And defensively, their ability to guard the pick and roll and to keep Lakers out of the paint.
The Lakers outscored the Timberwolves 36-23 in that third quarter. They had some elite shot making. I mean, what could they have done differently down the stretch, or was it just one of those games that this is how it unfolded?
Sometimes that's just how it is in
the
league. You have moments like that where it feels like there's no way we're losing this game. Everything's falling. We got a harmony about it. I mean, they switched their starting lineup to start the second half. They saw something that they identified. They went zone, took Minnesota out of their rhythm, so it was like they did what they were supposed to do. Minnesota just did a little bit more. Sometimes it's like that.
And now they lead the series 3-1, and they're going to go back to L.A. to potentially close it out. But let's go ahead and hear from Lakers head coach J.J. Redick after the game.
JJ, you made the change of the lineup to start the second half and went with those guys the whole way through. Was that the plan from the start, and how did you kind of manage what you were going to do?
No, it wasn't planned, but we just made the decision at halftime.
What do you take away, I guess, most from a kind of an emotionally difficult loss like that, in which you had yourselves in pretty good shape multiple times and they just kept coming back?
We certainly played well enough to win, and we gave the effort to win, and not a planned thing to play 5 guys an entire second half. We asked them at the beginning of the fourth quarter, told them we had 2 extra timeouts. If you need a sub, let us know. Those guys gave a lot.
JJ, how much stress did Ant put your perimeter defenders on there in the fourth, and just how did your guys, I guess, at times fight and compete and keep him to space, but ultimately kind of ran out of gas against him?
Yeah, I mean, he's a difficult player, and I think there's certain lineups that you can look at that they play that we could have mixed in some different things. When they have their shooters out there, it's tough to kind of mix in fires. We tried to fire multiple times. It wasn't communicated well. We did end up, trying to blitz him. He raced it both times and they scored. So, he's a very dynamic offensive player.
What was your vantage point on the inbound that was a turnover?
Well, let's just start with Luka got tripped. I mean, that was a blatant trip. He doesn't just fall on his own. We watched it. He gets tripped. So we should have been at the free throw line. That's not an excuse for why we lost, but we got fouled, and we had a chance to go up. Again, you work on the end game stuff, and you draw it up and you tell guys very specific things. We didn't execute it, and very obvious we didn't execute it. So I don't know what that's my only vantage point. We just didn't execute it.
JJ, were you concerned at all at a point? I know you said you checked in with the guys at the start of the fourth quarter about trying to find a minute or two there. LeBron has obviously played a ton of basketball in his life, and was there any second guessing for you on that decision?
Not on that one. I think once you've kind of made that decision, and they all are in, you just got to trust them.
JJ, we mentioned the possession battle pregame. They got 10 more shots, 18 offensive rebounds, 3 fewer turnovers. How big of a swing factor were those couple of areas?
Yeah, I thought we played well enough in the first half. Our first shot defense, we should have been up double figures, and that's instead we're down. That's some turnovers led to some baskets, and then the offensive rebound just killed us in the first half.
You said after game one that your team needed to play with kind of that and mentality that you guys showed in game two. It seemed like you mentioned the offensive play, but Randall all game kind of was able to be a physical disruptor. What did you make of what he was able to do, and how was he impactful in the game?
As a defender, you're talking about?
No, just flying around the court everywhere.
Oh yeah, no, he's you got to live with some stuff. 22 shots, 25 points. You got to live with some stuff.
Did you think his energy though?
No, he's been great all series. Yeah.
Thanks, Coach.
As Coach Redick also saying that they definitely played well enough to win. Obviously, things just not going their way. Those 5 guys that he came out with in the second half played the entirety of that second half. But what is it about Minnesota? Is it a matchup problem? Obviously, Anthony Edwards, we just got to break down a little bit more of his play and his game. And, I mean, it got chippy there from the start. And I think it was in the first half, he and LeBron kind of going back and forth. Like, this is Anthony Edwards' moment, time to shine.
I mean, we saw this last year in the playoffs against Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Right? He loves these matchups, and obviously it brings something else out of him. But he's a matchup nightmare.
Yeah.
I'm going to make sure I'm always a part of this game, and his ability to play make and facilitate. We see that growth with him right now with 6 assists, but we know he's going to shoot threes. We know he can put you in the basket. Him starting to figure out the intangibles, the leadership stuff, taking on the challenges stuff, yeah, that's a scary man.
Anthony Edwards, 5 of 10 from the 3. Those offensive rebounds absolutely killed the Lakers. They had 18 for Minnesota to the 11 for those Lakers. But we haven't even talked about guys like Julius Randle, too. He put up another 20-plus point game. We mentioned it in the pregame show, just how phenomenal he's been, especially in this postseason, in this playoff series, and he delivered once again tonight.
His physical presence, right? Taking advantage of the small defenders, playing bully ball down low, his ability to shoot the 3. But like I said, he didn't play in the playoffs last year, so he's been waiting for this type of moment. And obviously, when they made the trade for Carl, for him, he wants to prove that his worth is down there. And I think you do that in the playoffs, and he's bringing a different level of intensity. And he's a matchup problem too. JJ said in his press conference, we have to give up something. But obviously, he's giving you that. When Ants get off the ball, they got to go to another guy to get them a bucket. And Julius Randle can do that in different spots.
Absolutely. He has been phenomenal. Those 25 points in 42 minutes. And, I mean, not to mention for LeBron James and Luka, what they were able to do tonight. I mean, LeBron James is 40 years old. He's playing 46 minutes, 27 points for him. I don't know if it's shocking anymore when it comes to LeBron and his endurance. And I know he obviously works really hard on being able to stay out there. But for both of those guys, we mentioned in the pregame, they both have to deliver, and they did tonight. But who else do we need to see kind of step up if they want to try and extend this series?
I mean, honestly, Reeves was obviously in foul trouble early, so being scoreless, he still picked it up, finished with 17. Luka has 38. Bron has 27. Rui has 23. This is really one of those games where this is a tough-fought NBA matchup where you don't want to blame anything on a call but that's sometimes how you split hairs. If they keep that call the same and the ball's out of bounds and it's the Lakers' ball, who knows? Maybe we got Luka magic. Maybe we got Bron getting downhill and now it's a different situation. But, it's the margin of victory is so small, and we literally saw that from a Hawkeye camera.
We saw all 5 of those starters play big minutes except Jackson Hayes, because you had guys coming off the bench like Dorian Finney-Smith with playing those 40 minutes. So now they go back to L.A. for Game 5. I mean, this is obviously the Lakers, they need to make some adjustments. They need to figure out the matchup problems. But how do you foresee this Game 5 back in LA going?
I mean, it's going to be similar to the last two that we saw. They're going to be hard fought, but who can execute better? We saw in the early game today, when it comes down to the last 5 minutes of the game, it's going to be a close game. Who execute better?
Yeah.
Minnesota has proven that, no lead is safe. They can come back from anything. But, you got to be able to get stops. You got to be able to execute offensively. And whoever can do that to the highest of their power is going to probably come out victorious.
This series has been everything and more for the NBA fan, for the basketball fan, just someone